Hello. Right, we should have sound now. What a terrible start. I was explaining all this stuff and not looking at the questions in the chat, and then people immediately pointed out that there was no sound. I guess there was some sound at the start, but yeah, it's not that I'm muted, it's that my headset shut off without making any noise. So I'm just going to check that's still going. All right, people let me know whether the sound's working now. Yep, they can hear me now. Great. Okay. Well, there's a bunch of stuff that I was talking over there, which I guess I can go back and show, but I was showing the various different features, and hopefully they kind of speak for themselves, and people can ask me if they want any particular thing explained. Yeah, people can ask me if they want any particular thing explained there. So let me go back to the game capture. What I was basically just saying was there's mod packs like the No More pack, which contains more than one mod. So you can have mod packs available on the workshop where you subscribe to them and you get multiple things. So I'm going to switch over again here back to Chrome for a moment. And yeah, you can see this mod pack no population recruitment plus no mercs contains two things, so we can have those. The Somber Warhammer pack contains Somber Warhammer, the thing that makes them take over pop types, so you get indie things that are Warhammer indies, and it's also going to contain a mod that disables everything, all of the middle-era vanilla nations, just to make it a bit easier for people. So we'll have kind of useful mods that people will put together in packs. Yeah, so I've showed a bit of how you might get a mod. I think even without me talking over the top of it, it should be fairly clear what I was trying to show there. That you can download things directly. It's easy enough to do that from the workshop. But yeah, let me go back to the workshop and show you some other things. Oh, I don't want to go to my workshop. I want to go to the workshop. So yeah, various different small mods available, some bigger mods like Worthy Heroes and some Warhammer. I was saying earlier, and you probably didn't see, that I think that every mod should ideally, if the authors are being good, have a compatibility statement that kind of gives you a sense of whether it will work with other mods, because that's something that people are going to get a bit confused about and have to be aware about. And then something I wanted to show was the example mod. So I talked to Illwinter suggested that I could do an example mod. They agreed with that. So this is the example mod that people can use as a template. I showed that in a previous stream. But if I just click into this is Waka. Get your nice graphic there. And then we've got a description of what's in it, credit for the people that added some content to it, and then this compatibility statement as well. Which gives you which IDs are being used by it specifically, which is useful to other modders in theory, and then just a statement about the compatibility. It should be compatible with any other mod that does not make use of the following IDs. No effort has been made to avoid other IDs used by mods, though, so I can't guarantee that it will be compatible with things, but this adds the new thing. So I'll just show with a subscription to Waka if I subscribe to that. And then if I restart Dominions, I'll just go and do that. We should get Waka pretty much straight away in my subscription. I'll just check that that's actually worked. Yep, so we'll just show you this now. Switch over to game capture. So, ignore the ones that say local, but you can see I've got a local version because I'm the author of the mod. You won't have this, you'll just have these two things appear, current version and static version. And the reason there's a current version and a static version is because if somebody started a multiplayer game using Waka, like on the launch of Dominions, I would recommend that they use this static version. Then if I make an update to Waka, like I go, oh no, actually I need to move the IDs around, or I need to add new content, or need to move the nation ID or something like that, then I would change the current version, but I would leave a copy of the static version in the workshop mod. So it would go up to, it's like Waka 0.5 current version, Waka 0.5 static version and Walker 0.42 static version would all be packaged into the workshop mod. That way, if it automatically updates for people, it doesn't automatically update and overwrite the one that they're already using for their multiplayer game, so it won't break their multiplayer game. And I'm going to try and encourage other modders to do this, and I'll write a guide on what I think should be some best practice for putting things on the workshop, because otherwise people are going to get games that might get disrupted by an update happening halfway through their game. Sometimes you can have an update that's minor, like a hotfix or a bug fix or some stat changes, that don't require you to have a totally different version, like a minor version like 0.43 or whatever. And for those, it probably wouldn't break anything, so they may not want to do that. But if they're changing significant things, I would say make another static version that's bundled inside the workshop mod. People will automatically get it, but it won't automatically screw up the game that's already running using the older version of the mod. So that would be my advice on that. So I'll just show you the user's guide that I wrote. Switching back over, if we go over to the guide section, I think I've got the only guide in there at the moment. Do a quick check on the chat. Is there anything new with the debug mods? Managed to catch up the stream. Let's go. Yep. So this very simple guide, by reading the guide, you will learn how to navigate the Steam Workshop for Dominion 6 and install and uninstall mods to use. You saw me doing that earlier. It's as simple as you click subscribe, you click unsubscribe, super simple. So let me just show that again. If I wanted to not be having a mod anymore, like if I'd subscribed to the No More pack, if I subscribe to it, it's going to go and automatically download it, and it'll keep doing updates as long as I'm subscribed. Anytime I don't want it on my computer anymore, simple as that, unsubscribe. And it will automatically be removed. And obviously you won't be getting any updates to it then. But you can subscribe again whenever you want, and you can favorite it, so you can go back there and do that. So yeah, you will know how to navigate to the Steam Workshop and install mods, how and when to enable the mods. I think people are probably familiar with how you enable a mod. It's really simple, but this guide will tell you how to do it. How do you get to the workshop? How do you get the mods? How and when should you use them? Things about pretender creation and so on. Why are there multiple versions of the mod in my list of mods? I've explained why you might have static versions and current versions that the author might include, and which one you should use. Can you mix and match as many mods as you like? I mentioned kind of compatibility statements here. Only use mods that are explicitly stated to be compatible with each other or are described as being generally compatible with other types of mod you want to use. And then technical, where the workshop mods live on my computer, and I've given some examples of where they live. But if you go into Dominions, we will go and see. If I go to a mod, if I'm looking at OneAge, you can see where the workshop version of OneAge is. And this is just the how you enable and disable it. So I think it's going to make a big difference that the workshop's available, that people can easily see cool mods and they can browse through them. There is a bit of an issue with the workshop, and this is an issue with mods in general, in that you tend to get the skew where people go to the workshop, they go like, okay, Dominion 6, I've got this game, I want some mods for it. They go over and look, they browse for mods, and then they basically just go, show me the most subscribed. And then they go, oh, these are good. And then they don't look down lower in the list. But I think that's going to be a bit less of a problem in the Dominions community, because it's quite a communicative community over Discord. I think people are willing to try out lots of different mods and things, and I think because the barrier for entry for mods is lower, people are just going to have bigger collections of mods that they'll be subscribing to. So hopefully there'll be some good stuff there. So we've got a couple of arena mods you can see here, Better Arena and Yearly Arena. So let me switch back over to the game and check whether I've got any questions that people want me to go through. Necromage. Does the game still download mods when you connect to a modded game? Yes, it will. So the lobby is not going to support on launch using mods. Johan said that it will support using mods soon. It's just not going to be there on launch, that particular feature. So if people are doing multiplayer games through like server games, or if there are any external tools, bots made to set up server games for people, then yeah, it will work the same way in that it can download a mod specifically to be used in a particular game. I'm pretty certain. It's been a bit difficult to test this during the beta, but I am pretty certain that is the case. But you can still obviously just get them via the workshop as well. Golf Club Ninja asks, is there anything you can do with mods that doesn't work with mods downloaded through the workshop? My instinct is the answer is no, because the mods that are downloaded through the workshop are acting identically to other mods that are local. So if I go to like I mean they really are identical. Like LA Walker current version local, LA Walker the workshop one, it is exactly the same. I can't show you the Windows Explorer with the files, but they are identical files. They're just in a different location and loaded into the game in a slightly different way. But there's no difference between them, no substantive difference. I think the only case where you would have to have local mods would be if you've got some kind of dynamic like tool that you're using on your PC, which is changing the mod and then reloading the game constantly. You probably wouldn't want to use a workshop mod for that. But I'm only aware of like one or two people ever using things like that in the history of Dominions, things that are like automatically or like procedurally updating mods as you go along. Even if you were using something to procedurally generate nations like Nation Gen or Magic Gen or something like that, you could still make a mod, upload it to the workshop, download it from the workshop. Even if you were making that, it would be an identical process. So I think the answer is basically no, except for like a weird technical edge case. Brett asks, what's my plan for the Warhammer mod? There will be a version available when Dominions launches, either that day or the next day. It will not have everything implemented in it. You should expect to see some kind of bugs and things in it, and I'll be asking people to help me, with some playtesting and so on to get it polished up a bit. But it will be available, and then I will be ongoing, development of the Warhammer mod for Dominion 6. I'll be adding, Tzeentch as a nation at some point. That's obviously a goal this year to do that. But in the first place, I want to make get the new mounted system working, which is still a lot of work left for me to do. It's I think about half the nations or over half the nations do not have the new mounted system implemented yet. They've got lots of the pieces. I just haven't had the time to properly implement it yet. Ice Frosty Raven asks, are there any new mod commands where it'll affect only player 1? Only player 1. You might have to clarify what you mean there. I'm not sure what you mean. If you mean like in single player, things that don't affect the AIs and only affect players, then the answer is yes. There's a new event modding requirement command, so you can make it so that events only happen for players and never happen for the AI, if that's what you mean. Necromage asked, what is the Fungus King? I think I showed it briefly on the screen, but let me go back and show you the Fungus King. So the Fungus King is a mod by Johan. It's an example mod. It's really simple. It was one of the ones up in the workshop. I'll show you it again on the workshop. Go over to that. So on the workshop, it was the very first one that appeared there. So it would be, I don't know where it would be. I don't know which filter you use, but here is the Fungus King. It's a mod by Johan. It's got a simple image. The description just says Dominion 6 mod. It just adds a Fungus King pretender to every nation. It was literally just, he did it really quickly as an example. Here it is, yeah. Adds a Fungus King pretender god for most nations. And I briefly showed that, but I will do it again. Not continue if I create a new world. Yep, fine. Bungie! I know Marignon's got it. Oh, I forgot to load the mod. What a rookie error. This is the trouble when people are watching you become completely incompetent, or I do at least. Let's turn Fungus King on. I'm just selecting Marignon because I know Marignon does have it enabled. There's the Fungus King. He's got a poison explosion on death. Air effect 20. He's a big fungus. You hit him, he explodes and dies. I don't think Johan made him as a serious thing because he's got a pair of little beady eyes there, and he's kind of cut out some bits to make it look like he's got legs. He's just a fungus that he's made a very small alteration to the graphic, but it's just kind of to show what you could do. You can make mods that add pretenders to all the nations and so on. And he's just showing it off as a how to use the Steam workshop kind of example. I'll just fire that up so it actually makes him. Got some more questions. Bruh asks, does it mean you will discontinue the Warhammer mod for Dominions 5? You'll still be able to use the Warhammer mod for Dominions 5, but there's going to be no further updates to it. It's reached its final point, its final version for Dominions 5. I'll be doing it just for Dominion 6 going forward. Golf Club Ninja says, yeah, you could spawn debug senseis via that. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but yeah, the debug, I can show you the debug mod in a moment. I think someone asked me about that. Necromage, it's day one DLC like Piranha Plant was Smash Bros. But yeah, I guess it's free LC. Fungus King for vanilla. Yeah, we can put pressure on him. We can say if you all go and subscribe to that mod and just go absolutely hog wild on it, giving it ratings and just in the comments for that mod, just go please add this to please do an updated graphic of this for the main game. Add this to everything. I love him. Just keep saying that. Necromage says, I would gladly die in battle for the Fungus King. You will die in battle. You will all die in battle for the Fungus King because of his poison air effect explosion. I don't know why I loaded that up. That was an accident, I think. But there is the Fungus King. Very, very difficult to read in the top right corner. But of course, for people who don't really know about mods, if you enable them, they appear in the top right to tell you which mods you've got going, and then if you make a new game, those mods are locked in, and every time you continue an old game that's got mods in it, like here's a game with Waka, if I continue that, it automatically loads up all of the mods for that. It ignores whatever mods I had loaded up before and loads up the ones that it needs for that particular game. So you can see it's loaded up Waka. And you should load up mods before you should enable mods rather before you make a pretender. Like if I wanted to make a pretender for Waka in the pretender tools, create a pretender god for not middle age, create a pretender god for the late age nation of Waka. You can see because I've got the mod loaded, I can make a pretender for Waka, so I can pick the national pretender and everything. If I didn't have that enabled, there is no Waka. You have to enable the mods before you make the pretenders, if the game that you're going to use the pretender in uses the mods. Do you have some more questions? Felix asks, how's my day going? Pretty good. I was working quite hard at work today. I had a bunch of meetings, and I'll have some more tomorrow. But then I'm going to take Wednesday and Thursday off work, and I'll be doing streaming, working on some Warhammer content, and just kind of generally joining in the celebration of Dominion 6 launching. I bet there's a bunch of people who are either going to be taking a bit of time off work or studying or making a bit of time to play some Dominions when it comes out freshly. So I would like to join in the celebrations with that. Necromage says, I think GCN, that's Golf Club Ninja, was saying that the debug sensei and debug mod could use the no AI commands. The AI players don't get them. Yes, that is what I meant. Well, I had exactly the same thought, which is why, if we go over to the debug mod, I'm not subscribed to that on the workshop. I just have my own version of it. That's why there's only one copy of that there. If I go and create a new world. So normally, if you had the debug mod and you started a game that had AI stuff in it, right? I'm sure we've all done this by accident at some point. So we'll just leave these AIs in. The first thing that you would see when you start your... oh, by the way, here's Eriu. People were asking about Eriu before. Look, new units. Furbolg Charioteer on a chariot. I'm just going to click through these super quickly so that people can screenshot them if they want to. Furbolg Cattle Raider. Big meaty axe. Berserk +2. And stealthy. Scary. Milesian Man-at-Arms. Nice protection for the era. Pretty good stats. Pretty beefy. We like that. Anyway, here's a new pretender, by the way. Great White Stag. Oh, look at him. Bad Smith. So this is with the debug mod enabled. I'm just going to leave it all default settings and we'll load that up. So I have used the mod command that says, don't let the AI have these. So when I start the game, I get the site that gives me loads of resources, gold and gems, and I get all of those commanders spawn for me. You know, I get a bunch of debug senseis, and I get a bunch of mounted guys with all these different paths and things. So I get all of that stuff. The AI doesn't get all of that stuff because none of those events trigger for the AI. So normally, when you start a game with a debug mod, so you can see that you've got your debug senseis, but then you've also got these mounted guys. This is in case you want to test out stuff with people who are mounted. It was really useful during the beta test to be able to do that. And then a couple of just ordinary mounted commanders just for the purpose of testing things that are used on non-mage mounted commanders. So normally, if you click end turn on your first turn, you've left a bunch of AIs on by accident in the debug mod, you would immediately see a diaportant, a diaportant, a diaportant, a diaportant as all of the AIs cast all the globals that they're allowed to cast straight away. But we're not going to see that here if I end the turn. The AIs do have access to all of the spells because their research level set to 0. So they can cast the ones that don't cost anything. I could probably change that so they can't, but they can cast those ones, but they don't really matter. But they can't cast all of the crazy globals that they normally would be able to cast because they don't have infinite gold, infinite gems, and they don't have any of these commanders that can cast everything. So they can just cast the stuff that's free, which is like the Eyes of Debug. I guess they can cast that because it's only one astral. So maybe I can change the mod so that costs more astral, then the AI won't be able to cast it. That would be a simple way of doing it. But they can't cast all of the things that these commanders can cast because they don't have all of these commanders. So if I can show you that by casting Eyes of Debug. And obviously we can put a lot more astral into it than they ever could because they don't have all of these extra gems for free. So if I do that, I'll overwrite their global. Successful. So here's the AI. It doesn't have all of the crazy stuff that it otherwise would because it doesn't have all these free commanders and things. See if we've got some more questions. Felix says it snowed in for me, so as a substitute teacher I have the next couple of days off to enjoy the game, which is convenient. That's rather serendipitous, isn't it? Bro69 asks, once you are done with the bug and the whole new mount mechanics, what is your next step for Warhammer Mod? New factions, perhaps? Yeah. I think what I'll do is fixing all the bugs, putting in the new mounted system, and then I'm going to do a round of just adding. Maybe I was thinking once I wanted to do a patch which adds one piece of content for every single nation. I think that would be a fun thing to do, and I also want to add more national heroes to various different nations. But then after that, I would like to add Tzeentch, and I'm not going to go further than saying what other nations I might do after Tzeentch, but the important one is Tzeentch because that is the missing Chaos Nation. It would be really fun to do, and I look forward to using some of the kind of new mod mechanics and things to do some cool stuff with Tzeentch. Yeah, the seas do look different in the new generation. I like the look of the random maps. I know some people really think these are ugly and they don't like them. I think the random maps look good. And there will be tools. I know that Logi has made one so that you can take a map that you've made, any map for Dominions, like for instance, a map generated through MapNuke, that application, or just a map that you've made or an old map or something. You can take all of the white dots from it and the province areas that are defined, and then you can convert that. You can take that map file and the basic image of like the dots and the province areas, and you can convert that into a D6M, which is the new type of Dominions map. So you could have a classic map like thinking back to Dominions 3, like Iran. Do you remember the map Iran? Maybe not everyone does, but Iran or Dawn of Dominions or something like that. You can have those turned into this style of map. So if you like this graphical style, good news, because you're probably going to see more of it. And that way you can step around some of the issues people have with random maps, like this random map that I've generated where I start. This is perfectly fine, right? I've got multiple land connections. I'm not in a crazy place or anything, but sometimes the random maps are not so good in their placement of people. If we look up here, I would say that this start is pretty shocking, right, for Calum. It's got one land connection to Jinport, one land connection to Domin. I mean, this is a very big province, so that's good, but it doesn't get that many resources from these two provinces, a farmland and a plains, and it has no other connection other than to a throne, which is a sea province, which is right next to it. So a very hard one to take because it's a throne and because it's a sea province, obviously not so good for Calum. So the random maps do still sometimes have some not great start things like this, but with the tools that were made available after launch externally and with maybe some updates to the way the random map works, and as people get used to how to set up the random maps, I think they will do the trick. Little sip of drink. Necromage asks, does the vanilla map maker still let you do things like change the color of the ground and oceans? The old gen logic was awful. Yeah, it sometimes was, but it had a bunch of really nice cosmetic features, and I hope those still exist. It does have some stuff. Let me take you over to the map editor. Let's make a new random map. Oh no, we don't have an underground map. So we've got various options here. I'm just going to leave. I'm going to make a small one. Let's do 80 provinces, and we'll have a smaller sea area. Let's make it a full wraparound. Let's make it quite mountainous. Ruggedness, we like ruggedness. Hills and craters and so on. You've got all of these settings to do this, and you've also got the blueprint. I think other people have covered this in the stream, but you can basically you can take like an image that you've done where it's got blue and green to show where the land is and where the sea is, and you can use that to generate the landmass layout. So you can have a landmass that is exactly like a map of Europe or something like that, and then Dominions will fill in all of the provinces and things. So it can do some stuff like that. So let me just make a random map, and then we can look at it in the map editor. Do some other questions. Phoenix asks, how have you been finding the map gen in 6, especially with the new layers? I like the way that it handles layers. Basically, the layer that you are going to be seeing is the underground one. Let me save this map as sausages. Let's hide that window. So this is the map that it's just built for us. You can see it doesn't have the terrain here that you'd expect. There's no like farmlands and swamps and wastes and forests. That's because if you don't define these things, farmlands, wastes, forests, etc., which you can manually define still, you can do it exactly the same way. If you don't define them, then Dominions will fill in all of the ones that aren't defined with random terrain based on the settings that you've chosen, the like ruggedness and things. So I think if I didn't mean to go all the way out there, but I think if I go and get sausages, is that right? I load that up in the map editor. Yeah, here's the map. So if I were to define what these are, like it knows which these ones are because they're next to mountains, right? That's the border mountain setting. It knows that some of these, like this one, that's a no start. So it's done a good job there. We can add in some no starts. We can say, don't start people. Where would be a really bad place to start? Let's look along the coast. These are not that bad. That is a shocking one if you're a landlord. That should be a no start, right? So you can go through and go, no, I don't want these to be places where people start. You can, of course, do saying thrones go there if possible, no thrones there if possible, and so on. Like you could say for all of these ones that are right next to the land, don't put a throne there, put them in the middle instead. If you're going to do underwater thrones, you can define the. So this is something that I wanted to cover, which I had mentioned before. There's no setting for whether fog of war is enabled or not in the game setup, and that's true. But you can determine for a custom map whether there is fog of war or not. So you can have the fog of war turned off. You can also say whether there's a cave plane that will be automatically generated for this map, and we can have that on or off as well. We can randomize the terrains. There we go. So this is randomize the terrains the way that it would do anyway if you didn't define them, but you can go in and make sure that they are defined instead. I can't remember where the Sorry about that. My headset keeps giving me some trouble. I think that just turned off. Let me just check in the chat. Golf Club Ninja asks, "What does Gateway do?" Yes, good question. So, if we wanted to, this is going to be difficult for me to show you because I don't have the stuff prepared. I wasn't thinking I was going to be particularly looking at this, but basically, if we have a province here, which we define as being, let's do Gateway 2. This now has a gateway in it that takes you to any other plane which has a gateway which is also ID of 2. So we can give this any ID we want, 88, 55. Let's give this 55. If we had another plane that we had defined for this map, because in custom maps you can have, I think it's up to 8 additional custom planes. So you could go like, oh, I want to have a map that's got, you can go off into a plane which is all forests, for instance, and is kind of themed around like the wilds or something like that. You could have a province in that plane which has Gateway 55. You have a province in this plane that has Gateway 55. It means that you can travel between the two of them. They are connected. So that's what a gateway is. They're pairs. In fact, I think you can have more than pairs, but not on one map. But you can have is that true? I think they have to be pairs, actually, gateways, now that I think about it, to travel from one place to another place in a different plane. I think I can add a plane to this. I wonder if I've got one lying around. Am I going to be allowed to add Sharavar? Possibly. Let's give it a go. Oh, this is not the thing I was thinking, actually. Let me remove that plane. What I want to do is add, I'm going to add, can I add Silent Seas? No, I need a particular, because I'm not really prepared to show you this, I need a particular thing set up so that I can show you this. I think, where is a plane that I can use? I think it says that you can add a plane that's a TGA, but it's not quite telling the truth. I'm trying to remember which one I would be able to add a plane from. It's not Sadness Hedge. Which one can I add a plane from? I'm sure I have one of them that's got a D6M. There we go. Okay. I have added this plane. Oh, stop that. So this is plane number 2. It should really have something telling you it's plane number 2, but this is plane number 2. If I go back to plane number 1, this is the map we were already looking at. This is plane number 2. We can switch between them as much as we want. If I go here, I've got Gateway 55. If I find a corresponding thing here, let's say this one here, if I set this to Gateway 55, this province here and this province here are now connected to each other. Obviously, these are not particularly good examples of planes. This is kind of a boring, like, muddy-looking thing. And this is just random terrain. But you can see that you've got the ability for people to make some really interesting maps where they move between different planes and things through different gateways. And I think we don't have any others. Yeah, it's just these 2 planes we've got in here. But anyway, if I now save this, it might work. Thank you, sausages. Let's leave this. And then we'll create a game. We'll load up sausages. We can now pick, because we've enabled deep caves this map, we can now pick the underground layout that we want to have. So let's just pick a circle cave. We'll add that in. Gonna just put these all as humans because this might go a bit wrong, so we'll just put the ones humans. See if we've got any more questions. How will planes affect map creation? To what extent can they be edited? The best way to think about planes is that they're not like for launch, they won't be a thing that's got its own set of rules or anything like that. It's basically just having another map that's attached So there's not anything different than what you could do if you had like a massive image and you put multiple different sets of provinces on the image, and then you had meticulously drawn all these lines between them to represent the journeys. Instead, just thinking of them as different maps that are layered on top of each other, and then they've got gateways that move between them. Exactly like Bosmos with its different planets and things. Instead of those being all on one image, you would have those different planets be different planes, and then you would have specific gateways where you could travel between those different planes, basically. So let me just see how this has worked out. I think I turned... Did I turn what? No, I didn't. I thought I'd turned Fog of War off for this, but it doesn't matter because we can cast the Eyes of Debug. Doo-doo-doo. So hopefully, right, so this is one of the planes, right? I think this is plane number 2, custom plane. So you can name what this would be called. So we could have called this the plane of one lake or whatever. We can change what that's called in the map files and things. That can all be done by people who are doing map editing. You can see that we've also got the Pantocrator's Realm. So this is the big main wrap plane, and there is a connection. I forget where we put it. Is it here? Yes, here's the gateway. So this gateway between Kareen and Chibia, if I click through this, here's Chibia, here's Kareen. So you can see that gateway we just defined, you can travel between the two planes at that one province. It's the only place you can travel between the two planes. So if we had made a map like this, it would be crazy. And you can see the province connections are kind of messed up, but that's just because this was a badly generated map I was doing something with. But then we've also got these other connections. So you can see there's a gateway to Chibia from Kareen, but then we've also got a gateway here, Arden to Cold Hollows. And Cold Hollows is down in the Circle Cave. So the Circle Cave has various connections. It's got connections to Bearmoth's Rest. It's got connections to Utenshire, connections to Larian Swamps, and it doesn't automatically have any connections with the other plane, plane number 2, this one, because we didn't define any connections there, but we could have. So this could also be connected to the realm underneath. So you can have all of the planes, you've got different gateways going between them. The other plane you've got is the Void Nexus. This can only be reached by making a gateway with a particular spell. I've shown this before, but I'll show it again because, why not? If I go back to my capital, wait, I'm on plane number 2, aren't I? Where am I? Plane number 2. Akoscafale. Let's cast Arcane. No, I can't, not Arcane Nexus. Nexus Gate's what we want. We've cast the Nexus Gate. Quite sure what's happened there. That might be to do with the debug mod messing some stuff up, actually, now that I think about it. We've cast the Nexus Gate. We now have a gateway to Nexus. It's showing as being over the sea, but it isn't. It's in this province. And so we can send stuff through to Nexus, and they will appear there. And then if another nation also had a connection to Nexus, so let's just go and do that with Ulm. Boom. Let's also connect to Nexus. I have a horrible feeling this battle's going to go super long. Yeah, there it goes. If we go to Ulm, Ulm now also has a connection to Nexus. So you can see that Nexus now has a connection to both Ulm and to Akoscafale. So effectively, we've made those two capitals go like right next to each other with only this province between them, so that they can attack each other through that. So that's the risk of connecting yourself to the Nexus. But let me... I don't think anything interesting is going to happen in this battle because we just threw a bunch of debug senseis and they tend to be weird. Battle in the void against a bunch of guys. Yeah, they're all going to get kind of obsessed with buffing themselves up because of their weird paths and things. They're not really a good example of what mages would typically be doing. Oh, poor horse. He's lost his rider, he's running away. Anyway. Do you have some more questions here? Can custom planes be automatically added into randomly generated maps? Not automatically, no, but you could generate a randomly generated map, which is what I just did, and then you could make another randomly generated map and so on, and you can attach those as being different planes. You can also take maps that people have already made and you can attach those and link those up as being different planes of the same world. Can other planes wrap? Yes, and I think they were wrapping. We just didn't. They're just weird. Yeah, here we go. This is wrapping. So this is the underground plane, and it wraps here. There is a connection between the two, and then the custom plane. So this one is not a wrap map, so it isn't set up to wrap. So you can have wrapping and non-wrapping things. You can have a plane that's non-wrapping attached to a plane that's wrapping, and so on. That just didn't happen to be a wrap plane that I'd set up. Got another question here. Phoenix asked, do more cave nations in the game cause a bigger cave system, or do you have to define that? You would have to define that. If too many cave nations are in the game that don't fit into the cave plane, then some of them won't get their cave starts and they'll be started elsewhere. That's how that should work. Necromage, who has been asking lots of good questions, Necromage asks, I've long had an idea for maps. Oh, that's a statement more than a question. I've long had an idea for maps that give each nation their own starting area, but then connect to a more random map. That sounds like something that could be way more easily implemented in this system. Absolutely, you could do that with a custom map, and I think people are going to be making some really cool custom maps. So you could have a custom map where you have a plane of the kind of Greek, Asia Minor type nations that are all in one plane and they spill into a more random area. You could have it so that every nation starts in its own little plane and then emerges into a big random area and like attacks stuff over there. Does the Nexus look different in battle? It does look very different, as you've noticed, yeah. Is that a terrain that could be defined in custom maps? I think it is. I'm not really a good person to ask about mapping questions because I'm not really much of a mapper myself, but I'm pretty sure you can define backgrounds for maps. Yeah. Load up Silent Seas. Am I able to... Battleground, right? Translucent battleground floor. Skybox. You'd have to get the skybox. Weird fog, rock. Yeah, I haven't really messed around with this, but you can change the look of battleground things, and maybe you can replicate the void thing. I'm not sure. I think someone who knows more about mapping would probably be better off us answering that question than me. I'm more of a modder. Yeah, you can define skyboxes. It's in the map editor under battleground, and then you have to get in images for the skyboxes. So you can make one that is a skybox that looks like a tabletop simulator with a couple of gamers kind of looming over the battlefield like they're going to pick up the little guys. Or you could have the Gork and Mork or the Chaos God squabbling in the sky if you wanted to. Oh, the Nexus says its terrain is void. I meant if that is something that can be set. I don't know that you can set void. It might be something that you can't do in the map editor, but you can do in the map files. Let's take a quick look and just make sure that we haven't got a void available. So not here, but then advanced terrain. I don't see void. So it's possible that you can do it, but not in the map editor. Maybe they will add it as something you can do in the map editor, though I'm not sure. Good questions. I'll go back up and see if I've missed anything. Josie Kitter says a very nice thing here. Thanks for your time and effort communicating new features and answering questions. You are welcome. I like to be helpful, and I'm really excited about Dominion 6. It's really cool, so it's nice to be able to tell people about it. Can custom play map? Oh, we've already answered that one. Do we have any other ones? I can answer. Just people talking about some of the bad map gen, I think. Necromage asks, is it possible for spells to be modded in that open gates to other planes, like the Nexus spell but connected to other planes? That's something I've been asked a few times. The answer to that is no, but maybe because Illwinter, I think, are going to add quite a lot of modding commands and things after launch. They historically have always done that, and I think that that's something that they might add. But having spoken to Loggy, and we've kind of looked, Loggy's looked at the code, and we've talked about the logic of this a bit. That one's not one of the things that would be easiest for them to add. Yeah, so it's difficult to predict whether we'll get the ability to do that or not. It's really cool, right? It would be really nice if you could like summon a giant mole, and then the giant mole could dig through a portal into the cave layer from a province or something like that. That would be amazing. Or if you could cast a ritual to connect some particular province to like Hell Dimension or whatever. So I think people are really interested in it, and that makes it more likely that's going to happen because it's cool and they've already done it in Conquest of Eden. So they are definitely interested in it. But it's difficult to predict whether Illwinter will implement it or not, or when they will implement it if they were going to. So watch this space, I guess. Phoenix asked, which nation has been your favourite newer updated in 6, and how do you feel the new ones match up to the existing nations? I will start by saying which is my favourite, and I'll just show you. So let's turn off debug mod and make a map. And we're going to be looking at Pyrene, or Pyrene, or Pyrenees. I still don't know how that's pronounced. What I want to do actually is get Christopher on and do an interview with him where all I do is just go, how do you pronounce this? How do you pronounce this? Like every single thing, just to find out how we should be pronouncing Calum. I can guess Vanheim, Helheim, those are easy enough, but I don't know exactly how we're supposed to be pronouncing. I think that's stis, like a hissing sound, but it could be kts. I don't know. So there's a few of them like that. So my favourite new nation, and my favourite nation I think in general, is Pyrene, is the early age version of it. So I'm just gonna, what am I doing? I'm just gonna put these both to human. I just really like Pyrene because they're such a weird combination of kind of gentle giants, like the literal Gentilak, the Gentil, with their cool abilities. They're very good at forging. They've got great thugging paths and so on. They're really big boys. They can do a bunch of cool stuff, and they're just nice. They're like nice and wise and primordial and interesting. And they've got these kind of wise, clever forest giants as well. And then they've got these big dumb Tartalos who go around herding Mouflon. So yeah, they can summon up herds of Mouflon. I'll show those in a moment. And then you've got the Myru, these kind of like, again, they're not stupid. They're kind of these like mountain giants, and some of them have got magic and stuff. You've got your boulder throwers and your warriors and everything. And then it's these guys combined with funny cavemen lads, basically Neanderthals. So we've got Neanderthals pretty much. We've got some Neanderthals that have been granted more metalworking ability and everything by the Gentil, and these witches that are allied with all of them because they're friends of these giants, the witches. And at this point in their history, these are good witches, but they've got really cool powers. They're flying. They can change into cats. They're just awesome. They're from like Basque mythology. All of these various different creatures. We've got these kind of Adam and Eve looking furry giant boys. They're just really awesome. They also get a cave start, so you get to show off some more of the kind of cool cave stuff. Let me just throw some stats on here. We'll just make the game quick. So I think because we've got a cave on this map, if I remember I put a cave on the map, we should be starting in the cave. We'll see. Because EA Pyrene does like to start in the cave. We get some more questions. Nexus being one spec mix. Yeah, I think you're right, Necromage. They were just saying it would be a bit of a nightmare, logic nightmare to code the different gateways and things. It is quite difficult, I think, but it's possibly going to come as a mod command. We don't know. Kingdom of the Beyblades. A cave recruiting unit still in the game, and how does that function? Yep, cave recruiting units are still in the game. Basically, if you have, so you can have custom maps that just have cave provinces anywhere, or you can have maps where there's a separate cave plane where all of the things are different varieties of cave terrain. Let's have a look now. We should be in the caves, I think. Although because it's just a two-player game, maybe we're not going to be. No, we're in the caves. So we get this little cave start, which also has a connection to Epernia. Here's Pyrene. We get a throne down here, we get our caves. This is probably, because it's a tiny little map, because it's only 2 nations, this is probably the extent of the caves on this map. But each of these caves has a different terrain type. So we've got a cave, low income. We've got a drip cave, which gives excellent resources over there. So what I'll do is just spend 1 turn, we recruit some... I think I'll have Tartalo, and let me just get some Becrides. Becrides? I don't know. Don't know how they're supposed to be pronounced. Let's get some giants. Boom, 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 boom. Hold on. Come to me. Oh, he hasn't got enough. We need some more commanders. I will recruit a... Bebrix has got 75. They've got a bit of a problem with bad leadership, these guys. The Myers only got 50. Yeah, they're kind of like primitive. They can't really do formations and things. That's one of the problems with this nation. But I think it makes them kind of more charming that they're like that. But I'm going to recruit a couple of those guys. I'm just going to recruit some more. We've got lots of resources to spare. Let's just get some Becride infantry. You can see they can just hurl gold at problems because they've got these very low resource guys. These guys are cool because they've got a net. Big fan of that. And this is the Tartalo. So they can summon allies, and I will show you what those are like. Oh, we can't put them with them. Where's our boys? There they are. They're boys. Look at these beautiful Mufflons. They'll travel around with you. They'll give you a big supply bonus because you can make clothes from their wool and you can drink their delicious milk. So we've got some Abyssians down here. We've got a huge army of forest trolls hanging out up there, which would be incredibly hard to take. And we've got Cynocephalians up there, which are really nasty as well. So our best bet's probably fighting the Lavaborn, the native Abyssians. But we can give it a go, but it might not go well. Or I guess we could go up to the surface and fight elephants if we wanted. That would be horrendous. Anyway, we're not going to be playing a full single-player game here or anything. I just wanted to show you some of their stuff. So they've got recruitables in forests. Can I see them in the nation overview? Where are you, you swine? Pretenders of the world. We've got these mages that can be recruited in any forest. And then we should also have... Where are they? Cave cow herds. Shepherds. There we go. So the Becride shepherds can go into caves and then they can recruit cave cows. Oh, we've actually got those in our capital, don't we? Of course, I'm being stupid. We started in the cave, but we can get the shepherds, and then we can be mass producing. Tartalo can be mass producing with their summon allies. They can be giving us hordes of Mufflon, and then we can have the shepherd doing some cave cows as well. So they can really start Pokemoning it up. There's more Mufflon. He gets 2 every single turn. And we're getting more shepherds. Let's show you what the shepherds do. So summon allies. Should watch that battle, just out of interest. So you can see here another feature. We're in a cave. We've got things like the giant mushroom. If you had a trampler and it trampled over the top of this giant mushroom, it would explode and spray them with poison when it died. Off the Mufflon go. We've got some lava born over here, and you can see the new cloud effect happening there. If I click on him, you can see that there is a heat cloud level 1. As more heat order generating things grow together, then the heat cloud level increases, it gets stronger, and it also kind of spreads out in this cloud formation and gets pushed out in all directions. So the clouds kind of work in a more interesting way now, I would say. Let's speed this up. The Mouflon gets slaughtered. We're going to net a bunch of them straight away here, which is going to help us hit them. And our boulder guys are actually doing pretty well, I think. Getting some boulder hits in there. I'm always surprised in Dominions how well something with like bad stats but just hits super hard. The fact he can just smash things with a boulder for 37 damage and things with a club for 25 makes a huge difference. If you get things caught in a net and then you hit them with a big club, it kills them. I mean, it's caveman strategy, right? Oh, so I just wanted to show you the summon allies on this guy. We'll end the turn and I'll just show you that. So every turn, 2 Mouflon from the Tartalo, and the Shepherd gives us 1 Cave Cow. And the Cave Cow, apart from looking like a bog beast and therefore automatically being awesome, has a not very useful bite, and it has Corrosive Spit. The Corrosive Spit has the ability to corrode and damage the armor of things, which is cool, but it doesn't damage bronze armor, which is nice because we really don't have anything. We don't have people wearing iron armor for the most part. We've got a bit here. These guys are wearing iron. But most of our guys wear bronze. These are our sacreds, the Bribrix Guard. So we've got lots of bronze guys who are not affected by all that corrosive acid being spit around. Can forts draw resources between planes? That's a good question. I did test this at one point, but I can't remember what the answer is. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say what the answer is because I don't remember exactly. And yeah, the capital drawing from the service province. I don't remember. I mean, I guess we could check, right? So at the moment we've got resources 268. So what we'll do is take these guys back. Let's get mercenaries just to make sure that we get this province, and then we'll just have 1 billion of these guys with spears, and then we need a couple of people to lead them. Let's do that. Oh, before I host it. That was very silly. Where did I put them? EA period. Sorry, before I host it, I just wanted to recheck what the resources were, in case I'm just imagining resource drawing. So that's got some unrest. It's not going to make any difference. That doesn't really have any unrest. Resources 268. Okay. Let's find out. We're doing a live test here. Boys, get in there. Yeah, you can all just go with him. We'll send them all up here to fight these unsuspecting elephants. Let's double check our resources. 272 resources. Let's turn off all our recruitment so we've got nothing influencing it. 272. Let's answer the question first, then we'll watch our glorious battle. 303. So yes, they can draw resources via this connection, and then let's watch our awesome battle. Got some fun mercenary swashbuckling pirates there. And got an absolute collection of weirdos and freaks here. Oh, and they're pretty. Look at them. And the Mouflon, which are very exciting guys that headbutt. So you'll note these elephants as they're going along, they've got these archers on the back of them, and those will be firing as the elephant tramples along. Also, the elephant itself will be hitting things with its tusk as it charges along. It can fight and trample at the same time. So let's watch those. You can see them shooting the arrows there as they're trampling in. I mean, they're going to get slaughtered, obviously. If we look at the... Can we see the log for the war elephants? Tried to trample, tried to trample. Yeah, so it hasn't had an opportunity here to tusk anyone, so it hasn't done it, but... Maybe this one. Ooh. So that elephant just died, and you can see the crew fell off the elephant there. So we should have in the log Archer falls off his mount for 3 points of damage. Yeah, the elephant got killed, they fell off, and down they go. And we've got the elephant rider here with this little hammer that's used to kill the elephant, I believe. He has also fallen down, and we've got falls off his mount for 5 points of damage. So they didn't really get hit until they fell off the elephant, and now they're going to get slaughtered, of course. Go on, headbutt them. Did they headbutt for 0 damage? He did it! Okay. And then we swarm over and kill everything. Cool. Let's see if we've got any more questions, and then I'll have to go shortly. Did the Merc screen show the troops as well now? Yes, it does show the troops as well now. If we go to the Merc screen, you can see what the troops are. You can't actually click into the troops from here, but you can at least see that they are there, how many of them there are at a glance. So you've got a little bit more information here, and then you've got the price that's reduced and everything there. It's a shame you can't click on them. Yeah, that would be nice. I'll ask if I'll put that as a request in the beta testers forum, and we'll see if maybe that could be added so that you can actually click on those, because I think it'd be useful for people to be able to see those by clicking on them. Yeah. So an interesting thing I have with these guys, I really love the Tartalo. I make loads of them because I like to have huge armies of Mufflon. They're really fun in single player, but also even like you'd look at this and you'd think his stats are terrible, he won't be able to do anything. But it is amazing how often I end up with these guys just ending up in a fight with stuff and killing them and doing really well. It turns out just having a bunch of hit points and hitting something for 37 damage with your club is pretty useful. I mean, I'm not saying that they're good and you would thug with them or anything, but it's amazing how often something reaches your back line where these guys are the commanders, whatever, where you're farming your Mouflon, and they just absolutely batter them with their club. So yeah, the other thing I was going to say is the witches at this point in their history, the Sorganak, are good witches, benevolent, mostly air mages, with really cool paths, and the fact that they fly and stormfly and they can change into a cat. Let's actually see them change into a cat. Let's recruit one. I'll show you the cat. Because in the Middle Era, unfortunately, this is one of the nations where they go from being these kind of wise and benevolent nation with these like lovely giants that are helping out the humans, and the humans are somewhat warlike, but the giants kind of treat them with this like indulgent kind of gentle wisdom and help lead them, and the witches provide all this guidance. And then when they reach the Middle Era, they are one of the most evil nations. There's just bloodthirsty, blood-worshipping, the witches are all using blood magic and messing around with basically representations of a kind of black, goatish demon. So they turn pretty nasty in the Middle Era. What was I going to do? Turn into a cat. Meow. Little cat. So yeah, one of the nice things about that is you're not flying anymore, but you are now stealthy. So Sorganak, basically impossible to get like trapped in forts and things because they can always sneak away, they can fly, they've got so many options for moving around. They're one of the most mobile and awesome units at doing that. You can sneak around and do raiding, sneak, transform, fly, all kinds of stuff. So they're really cool. I think they're one of the most interesting mages. In this era, in the early era, they've got cool magic paths, but they're very expensive. And you don't necessarily have a particularly good economy because you're likely starting in a cave where you tend to be a little bit poorer, I would say, when you're in a cave. You can see some different cave terrain types over here. We've got a cave forest, which is made up of these mushrooms and so on. And you've got, have we got anything other than cave forest? Drip cave. There is another type of cave, I can't remember what it is. Crystal cave, I think, is the other one, which has got more chance of having magical sites in it. Yeah, so there you go. That's my favourite nation, EA Pyrene. I think people are really going to enjoy them. The middle era version of them is super powerful, much more powerful than the early era version. Necromage says, one of the things I really like about Waka is it's one of the very few Dominions nations that seems like a decent place to live. Yeah, they're kind of the nice guys. They do have secretly a bad thing going on, which is they're kind of being manipulated by the Ether Lords who want to invade the mortal world again, but the actual nation itself is nice, and you feel like if they knew they were being manipulated by the Ether Lords, would do something about it. One last question. Braden Atkinson says, do they have unique spells? They've got some unique forgeables, and I believe they do have some unique spells as well. They have, where are we? The art. Am I going to try and pronounce that? How would that be pronounced? Arche? Artzi? Artsy? Don't know. It's a Basque word, presumably. Art, Artsy? Artsay? Not sure. It's a flaming bull spirit. Seven at the Mother of Storms. That's one where I would like to ask, or I could look up how to pronounce it, I guess. I think they don't have much else from what I'm remembering. Just going to whip through their spells really quick and check. Yeah, I think that might be it for them. And then they've got all the cave spells, obviously. You know, they do cave crabs and whatnot. Yeah, they don't have anything else. Maybe they'll get some more stuff added, but at the moment it is just that boy. It is just that boy. Cool. Thanks everyone for watching. That is my stream for today. Probably do some more in the coming days, but I hope that's useful in terms of showing people the workshop and everything. Sorry for the sound issues at the start, and I'll catch you all another time. Bye for now.